What I have noticed with most novices starting their muscle building journey with calisthenics is that they treat the game like a sprint instead of a marathon. You gotta understand that calisthenics is a process of building muscle. It's not just a quick sprint and you achieve your dream physique. This is all about staying consistent and repetition over perfection. Please don't have the mindset of thinking that everything should be done fast, no routine should be required, just going hard every single day in the gym, which when I was just starting, I had the exact same mindset, bro. I was just like you. But listen, I've grown out of that mindset and I've learned. So that's why I want you to listen today and learn from this video. If you actually want to see real progress, I'm talking real progress in your muscle building journey with calisthenics, click the top link in the description. Don't even hesitate after you watch this video. Join the course right away, Jacked by Calisthenics, and build fucking muscle. Listen to what I say. I will hold your hand, build a routine, and we're gonna be making you fucking jacked. Go join that right now, and I'll see you inside. So, first thing that we're gonna get into is you need to stick to a routine and actually don't switch. Common mistake that I have made back when I was young and back when I was trying to get into shape with calisthenics is that I didn't have a routine and I always used to freestyle from exercise to exercise, routine to routine. But the one thing that I want you to stay consistent on is your routine that you have built. Now listen, again, sorry for the plugs, but in the top link in the description, we're going to be building you a routine and we're going to be sticking consistent to that. Now, why do I want you to first build a routine and then stay consistent on it? That is because your muscles remember shit, right? Let's say you are the type of guy who jumps from thing to thing, exercise to exercise, routine to routine. You never really stay consistent on one dedicated thing, right? Are you gonna be making as fast progress as the guy who has a set in stone routine, who is progressively overloading week by week by week with not only weight, but with techniques, methods, form, positions, angles? He changes up the exercises slightly once he lands in the plateau and keeps progressing and never lands in a new plateau. Are you going to be making more progress than that guy who is consistently on a routine and not switching off of it? I don't think so. What you need to do is lower your ego and stop training what you want to train and train what you should train on the day that you should train that. So listen, for example, my routine, right? I basically follow a Arnold split. So I basically do chest, back, and shoulders, sometimes only chest and back. And I have a complete dedicated arm day because my arms are lagging. For you, that might be different. And then I have a leg day and I fucking repeat it. The reason why that works for me and the reason why I built that routine and a little bit of a variation in it in the top link in the description is because I want to have only a minimum amount of workouts, 3 to be exact, where I stay consistent on weekly, and where I can progress with weekly. The thing about the type of training that I used to do when I was about 14 all the way up to 16, 17 years old was just freestyling and basically not sticking to anything consistently. The thing about that is that you're going to be leaving things behind. So right now, because I only have 3 workouts in my entire weekly routine and I do that 6 times a week, I do not miss a thing. I train the muscles on this day, I train the muscles on that day, and I train the muscles on the last day, and I repeat that cycle. So nothing is not being hit. And that's the thing about building an aesthetic body with calisthenics. You want to be staying focused on the muscles that actually matter, which truly is every single muscle, of course, but the muscles that matter the most, such as the back, your lateral deltoids, your arms, maybe even a little bit of your traps and your neck. Those muscles should be prioritized in a routine. But how are you going to do that if you do not have a routine? If you do not have anything to stick to consistently? If you do not have anything written down, you're going to be skipping out on a lot of things and on a lot of volume and potential gains that you could have made if you had a routine. That is why I highly recommend you first build a routine and then you actually get into all the other shit that we're about to talk today in this video. So, second topic that I want to talk about is basics, compound exercises should be the priority. Now in calisthenics, we have a bunch of exercises, right? We have calisthenics compound, which is basically exercises that use 2 or more muscles. And we have calisthenics isolation, which use only 1 muscle, but usually also 2 or more. Why should we focus on the compound movements first and progress with that? The compound movements are just, in my opinion, there are just a couple of very important ones, such as the dip, the pull-up, the squat, the pike push-up, the regular push-up, and slight variations within those exercises, such as grip widths, different variations that you could try out, right? Why do I think that's so important? Because each and every exercise focuses on more than just the muscle that you're primarily working with that movement. So for example, the pull-up, right? Primarily, it's a back exercise, but you're building your biceps with it, you're training your rear delts with it, you're training multiple parts of your back with it, which makes it a compound movement. Why is that so damn effective? Because if we stay consistent on an exercise and we progressively overload smart with it and weekly with it, we are going to be seeing all those muscles slowly improve. So we don't need to isolate, which most people think they have in a mind. Most people think that you should isolate each and every muscle to see it to the maximum potential. potential. You don't. Isolation is very effective, and I use isolation for my lagging areas as well, but not for every single muscle. You gotta understand that if you have a good compound movement for each and every upper body muscle, and you're progressively overloading with it, and you're growing with it, then why would you add extra bullshit and extra fluff to that routine? You do not need to do that. What I want you to do is pick these exercises, these smart compound movements, and stay consistent with it over and over again. And once you have done that, you will start to find out that, for example, with the pull-up or the pike push-up or the dip or the push-up on rings, you will start to find out that the muscles that you are primarily working with that exercise and also the secondary muscles will grow because you're progressively overloading each and every week. For example, I have been doing ring push-ups for like 2 months now, right? Of course, my chest was always good, so my chest hasn't really seen crazy improvements, even though it has still been growing because it's a new thing again. But because I've been doing the ring push-ups, and the secondary muscle of the ring push-ups is actually the shoulders, and the lateral delts are actually working with it because they're stabilized and trying to keep you still during the movement. I've been even seeing growth and width in my shoulders from doing push-ups, regular ring push-ups. Now, why have I seen growth in my shoulders from push-ups? Because I progressively overloaded with it, so my shoulders grew with the overall exercise along with my chest. And that's exactly the exact same for every single exercise that you're going to do for compound. So same thing with pull-ups. When you do pull-ups, you're going to build your back, but you're also going to be building a little bit of your rear delts. You're going to be building a little bit of that bicep. Your forearms are going to be trained as well. If you do not progressively overload, on the other hand, with the exercise, then your back will grow a little bit, but every single other muscles are not really growing with it, right? And you're also not really getting stronger, which is why you will land in a plateau very, very quickly. So you have to progressively overload with it. Now, what does progressively overload for most of us look like? In the normal weightlifting world, it's all about adding weight. But most of us calisthenics athletes do not have enough equipment such as weights and dumbbells and all that shit and plates, or we just don't want to use that because we want to stay loyal to calisthenics. Both reasons are totally valid, and I'm going to tell you how to progressively overload without adding weight upon yourself and turning yourself into a bodybuilder, basically. What I want you to do, instead of progressively overloading constantly with adding a little bit more weight to the push-up or a little bit more weight to the pull-up, which I have done for a long time, which definitely works, but what do I think is even more effective? It's changing the exercise slightly so that it becomes more difficult, so that your reps are going to drop. For example, I've been giving this example for a long time now on my channel, but I've been doing weighted push-ups on the rings for quite some time now, like two months or something like that. And I've been progressively overloading with it, but I do not progressively overload with it right now with weights. I actually progressively overload with positions and angles. So positions could be that I want to open up the rings even more at the bottom, and angles could mean that I want to decline, that I want to put my body into a position where I'm now in a decline, where it's going to be focusing on my upper chest and where it's going to be harder to push up. That is my way of progressively overloading. So you do not need to progressively overload with weight. You need to progressively overload with the technique that you're using to make it harder. My reps dropped drastically after doing this, right? So I was literally doing, first off, like 15 reps per set with 45 pounds ring push-ups, right? After I changed the angles and also the width of the push-ups, I dropped down to like 8 reps per set, and I didn't increase the weight. So increasing the weight is such a fucking scam that people are trying to put you on. Just increase weight every week. Yes, you're going to be stronger, but your muscles are not going to be trained to the fullest capacity because you can change up the exercise in order to use your chest muscles to the full potential, such as going deeper on the ring push-ups. That's why we have rings. Going deeper on the dip. That's why we have dip bars that go very deep. We want to use that. We want to train our chests completely, not just making it stronger by having extra weight and keeping your form the same, or your form is even going to go back from it. You want to be progressively overloading with the exercise itself so that you learn the exercise better, so that your chest is able to handle more later, and that's how it's going to grow. So let's get into topic number 3, and that's going to be training frequency. Now, there's a lot of conversations online about training frequency and how many times we should train a muscle group per week. In my opinion, the solid sweet spot for every single athlete is 2 times a week for each and every muscle group. The reason why I do not really want you to train each and every muscle group 1 time a week, which some people really promote, is like, oh, you get more rest and you're going to grow more. I understand that concept, but some muscles do not really recover as fast as other muscles. For example, when we take a look at our bicep and triceps, right? Those muscles recover very quickly. If you do an arm day, 48 hours, you're most likely ready to do an arm day again because your arms just recover quicker than, for example, your hamstrings or your back or your chest. Usually the smaller muscles are able to be hit stimulate the next 24 hours or the next 48 hours. So doing biceps once a week will not be enough for most people. And there are a couple of reasons behind that. First of all, because they recover fast. But the second most important reason is because most people do not train hard enough per set. So let's say you have one day in the week where you train arms, which is totally fine, right? Because your arms are still going to be stimulated through other stuff, through your compounds. So it's kind of fine. But if you do that arm day without really training to your maximum capacity that your body is capable of, you're not really going to be seeing quick arm progression and results. Now, there's a reason to this, and that's because it's very hard to train hard. It's very difficult to train hard. So let's say you have 6 sets to do of biceps in a single workout, which for some people, that's actually not enough because most people do not know how to take a set completely to failure. If you do not know how to take a set completely to failure, you would actually need more sets. But if you are not the type of guy to add more sets, or that's too difficult for you, you are not really going to be seeing no results because you do not know how to train hard with less sets, or it's too hard for you to add more sets with the type of intensity that you're already doing, which ends up in making quite literally no results. So what I want you to do is just stick to the routine of having a routine where you train each and every muscle group twice a week, where you actually stimulate the muscle twice a week, and you're still going to be stimulating the primary muscles on that day that you're training through other workouts, because when you're training shoulders, they're also going to be a little bit trained on your chest day, of course, and on your back day. And when you train arms, they're also going to be stimulated on your chest and back day as well. The only muscle that will really truly be hit twice a week will be legs, right? That's the only muscle that will really truly be hit. Now listen, the one and only thing that I want you to remember is that you have to take your sets very, very far. So if you're training 2 times a week with bitch intensity, you're not even taking your sets remotely close to failure, or you have this type of pussy mindset that you have to leave reps in the tank because I want to save my fuel. If you're like that, David Laid ass guy, I'm sorry, but you're not really going to be seeing fast results. You're not. You're simply just not. If you're natural, you're not. If you are on steroids right now, then okay, yeah, you can get away with a lot of things, man. But if you're actually natural and you're trying to build muscle as fast as you can and also as much as you can, you're not really going to be seeing no results if you leave your reps in the tank on your biceps. What are you doing? You want to be taking it far each and every week, especially if you only have two workouts per week for a certain muscle. Bro, take it far, man, or else they're going to be recovering faster than you actually would imagine. And then your muscles are just going to be resting throughout the week and you have nothing to do because you got to wait until the next workout comes. You understand? So it's like, train your muscles hard. The way I do it, I basically train my muscles so hard during a single set, during a single workout, that for the next, for example, chest and back day, my chest and back will be just in time recovered for another workout. That's how hard you want to train. Of course, you do not want to take it so far that you're going to be sore for like 2 weeks. That's not even useful. But also, you do not want to take it so pussy-like that you're going to be recovered the next 24 hours, but you still got to wait 3 or 4 days to hit it. That would be leaving gains on the table. So let's get into the next topic, and that's going to be calorie surplus. Now, a caloric surplus basically means that you have to start eating more. And as a beginner, it's very hard to start eating more. But I'll give you a couple of tips and a couple of habits that you can start to get comfortable with in order to eat more. So eating more is, of course, the process of gaining muscle, right? We want to get more protein in, we want to get more calories in, we just want to try to eat more. The thing that I have done is I always wrote down a couple of meals that I was going to get throughout the day regardless, right? So listen, I have a couple of meals that I always just eat, such as noodles and eggs and bagels and eggs and just regular rice and chicken. And those are just the meals that are very normal for me to eat throughout the day. Also, you want to make sure you get meals in that are actually calorie dense, so they have high calorie and it's easy to eat, right? Because listen, when you make eggs, right, and you're cooking an omelet, a thick ass omelet with extra bread and all whatever, it's going to be hard to eat. Even though you just cooked up 3 eggs, which is nothing, it's going to be hard to eat. If you have 4 scrambled eggs, on the other hand, which is, quite a good amount of protein, scramble it up, you put it in the pan, and you motherfucking leave that shit for 2 minutes, right? It's going to be very easy to eat, quickly to eat. I don't want you to eat like wet eggs. I don't like that shit, right? But cook them all the way through, but it's going to be easier to eat in small little bites, boom, done, finished, right? So you want to be having a couple of meals throughout the day that you're for certain going to be getting down and that okay, these are quite easy to eat, but they're high in calories, and then all the other shit that I still need to get into my system, I'll just eat them after those meals and it'll be easier for me. That's it. And I also want you to count your calories at first, right? Right now, I don't even count my calories because I've had the same type of foods throughout the whole day for like 4 years straight now, so I don't really need to count calories, but count your calories. Download a fucking app. I'm not going to tell you what to do or whatever, but download an app, MyFitnessPal, or maybe even the Cal AI, whatever the shit, right? You take a picture, you fucking analyze it, and you basically are now consistent with eating enough. So you want to get enough in. So you want to get about 300 to 500 calories above your maintenance calories. Most of us are not even going to be getting that. What you actually need to do and need to focus on at first is focus on eating more, just a little bit more than you're already doing right now. Your body is already going to respond to that. Even though it might be still too low to build real quick muscle, that is already going to be changing up the trajectory of your training journey. You want to be eating a little bit more than you're already doing right now. That will already set you ahead. So start doing that and you will start to actually gain muscle slowly and surely. Then next topic, do not get comfortable. That's the second thing. That is the next thing. Do not get comfortable. Now, what do I mean with do not get comfortable? Not getting comfortable, what I basically mean by that is you want to always push yourself to the next level. If you're a calisthenics athlete, you know that exercises require real attention and you need to make it more difficult for you in order to progress, right? Or you need to add more reps, or you need to add more weight, or you need to do the reps differently, or you need to change the reps a little bit differently, or change the exercises. You want to never stay comfortable during this process. The moment you actually do is the moment when you stop making progress. And by the way, on some self-improvement shit, that's with everything in life. Then next thing is consistency. You got to understand that consistency is the main pillar of progress. Don't focus on perfection. Don't focus on trying to perfect every single exercise in the first week. Focus on what you're doing right now, but doing it consistently. This is how you're going to make progress. Now again, in my Jacked by Calisthenics course, top link in the description, I have basically laid it out for you. I'm going to tell you exactly in there what to do, how many times a week to train and recover, what to eat in my opinion, and what you should do in order to gain progress when it comes to consistency and the mindset of it. Go to the top link in the description right now and join that up right now so that you will actually make real progression. It took me 6 years to land in my dream physique. It can take you 1. If you actually stay consistent with 1 year of training, you can achieve so much more than I have achieved in 3 or 4 years. Go to the top link in the description right now and I'll see you inside. Let's get it. And as always, make the sacrifice and stay resilient.